Shalom. So, what is Judaism? Well, it's many things. It's an evolving religious civilization. It's a religion. It's a way of life. It involves deep spirituality, a moral life, and traditional observances. And the goal of Judaism is to make all of life holy. It goes back 4,000 years to Abraham. His belief in one God and a covenant between that God and Abraham's descendants became the foundation of Judaism. And the Torah and the Talmud, our sacred writings, offered inspiration and guidance through the centuries and still do. So what are the basic ideas in Judaism? First of all, there's one God. That God and the people of Israel have a covenantal relationship. The basic covenant is through the mitzvot, the commandments, and there are hundreds of them regulating what human beings are to do, both to serve God and to work with humanity. We have a basic principle of when we sin to atone for our transgressions and come back to God. And we have a traditional belief that there's a better future ahead, basically the Messianic era. Now, what are our basic writings? Well, we have, first of all, the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, and that is 1/3 of the Holy Bible, which includes many books of the prophets and the books of the writings. And then what we call the oral law is actually now written in the form of the Talmud. We also have many holy days, the Sabbath, which comes on Friday night through Saturday night every week, and then other holidays, including the New Year, Rosh Hashanah, or 10 days later, the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, 5 days later, the holiday of Sukkot, the Feast of Booths, which lasts for a week, and then comes Hanukkah, the rededication of the temple, and a holiday of political and religious freedom, which occurs towards the end of the secular year in December. Tu B'Shvat, which is the Arbor Day, which occurs usually in January. And Purim, which is the festival of the survival of the Jews against threatened genocide from Persia in the 4th century BCE. Passover, the Torah story of the Exodus and freedom from liberation and bondage in Egypt. And 7 weeks later, we have the holiday of Shavuot, which celebrates the anniversary of the giving of the Torah. And then in the middle of the summer, a very sad day when we commemorate the destruction of both holy temples, which were on the same day, the 9th of Av, but hundreds of years apart. And in the period between Passover and Shavuot, we have new days that we celebrate and commemorate. Sadly, the commemoration of the Holocaust occurs during that period. So does Israel's Memorial Day and rejoicing with Israel's birthday. Now, what are some of the major life cycle events in Judaism? We have, for babies, covenantal experience. For boys, it's circumcision and the naming. For adolescents, it's bar and bat mitzvah. Then many Jewish groups have confirmation. Of course, we have a special marriage ritual. And I have videos on all of these things and special death practices. Also, it's important to know in understanding Judaism that there are various denominations, expressions of Jewish life. I have videos on those: Orthodox, Reform, Conservative, Reconstructionist, and others. We also have various religious symbols, including the wine goblet called a Kiddush cup, candlesticks for lighting candles, the prayer shawl, I have a video on that, Kippur and Yarmulke, I have a video on that, the ram's horn for the high holidays, I have a video on that, the Star of David, I have a video on that. Mezuzah that goes on the doorpost, I have a video on that. But important religious symbols. And so what is it all about? It's to serve God in a sacred way as expressed through the commandments and to try and make life holy.